You will never always be motivated, so you must learn to be disciplined.
Ooh.
And I have had to learn that myself.
Readiness is a mirage.
Even though you're doing something that you love, it's still hard work. Only create when you're inspired. You're going to starve to death. If you decided to do this as a career, that's not going to work out very well.
The business is about leveraging your creativity even when it feels like it sucks to do it. That's what a pro is. I think fear is a big enemy of inspiration. But being a professional means you still go through the motions and you still flex your creative muscles even when you don't feel like it. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, whatever the case may be, wherever you are in the world. This is the Emerging Artist Podcast, and that means that I'm Scott Markowitz, and I'm here with Shiree Nicole.
Hey, Scott. How's it going?
Doing great today. How are you?
I'm doing good. We're going to talk about some exciting things. The myth of waiting to be ready or only creating when you feel inspired. How do you feel about that?
Readiness is a mirage.
I would agree with that.
Yeah, you never feel ready when you need to feel ready, right? And you're never actually feeling like you should start when you shouldn't start. And yeah, inspiration doesn't come at your beck and call, right?
I think it depends on where you're at in your own level of commitment to your own pursuits. If you want a career, maybe it truly is just something that's a hobby, and that's perfectly fine, and that you just want to do that for your own enjoyment. I was that way all growing up. I loved to draw, and I would draw for hours, and I always enjoyed that. And I did that all through school. We did that into my 20s. I actually didn't become a career artist until I was in my early 30s. So I think that also affects whether or not you're ready or your motivation to be inspired. So if we're thinking about that, are we talking about the person that is committed to a specific art career that this is what they want to do, they are determined? And so what happens if somebody that's committed to an art career, they made that decision, they want to do this as a full-time career. Can they afford to just wait to be inspired or to be just ready?
No, absolutely not. Because if you're committed to running your own business, then you have to take the actions necessary to get the business moving along and get the cash flowing. You know, it's just not going to work out well if you try to sit back and wait for that comfort level, right? Because isn't that what we're talking about? Feeling ready means that you're comfortable to do something.
I think so.
Yeah. You're not always going to feel comfortable in doing the things necessary to keep your business running.
And it's when you begin your business, there's so many different components of it that you're in constant change as your business is growing. And so you're always making those adjustments.
Right.
You know.
So to say something encouraging to everybody, I think that these are not specific things that artists go through. Like, I think any entrepreneur who hasn't done it before, who hasn't actually started a business yet, so like, you know, a budding entrepreneur, they all have these same kinds of mechanisms for resistance to push back against the uncomfortable. And one of them being, you know, I'll just wait until I'm ready. So that's a common mind trick that our ego will play on our human mind, no matter what the endeavor is, to push back against the uncomfortable. And I think it's important to understand that as an artist, you're not alone in that. And that's normal human behavior. That's your own brain trying to protect you from harm, from emotional harm. So understanding that, there is maybe an extra layer of this kind of mental game that we play because we are so creative and we have such great imaginations, and we'll add some extra layers on top of that There's also some extra perceived potential harm I think artists have that perhaps other people in the world don't have, because the art that we are endeavoring to sell or do for others is very personal to us. Whereas if you're just selling something, you might not have that exact same personal connection to
An
it.
attachment.
So there's that extra layer that we have to contend with as artists. But it is normal to resist the uncomfortable. And that's probably like one of the favorite excuses people will come up with to combat the uncomfortable, is that, I'm not ready. Right? And it sounds logical. If I'm not ready, then I shouldn't do it. Right? That does sound like a logical argument.
Does logical. I feel like a lot of it has to do with your own personal circumstances in your life. And I have talked to some of my own coaching students about really being hungry for the business and where they're personally at. Are they really committed to jump in and have a career? And I know in my own situation, I had gone through a divorce. I had a son that was diagnosed with autism. I need to have money to make sure that my son had the schooling that he needed. Even though you're doing something that you love, it's still hard work. So for me, it was necessity. And I had to jump in with both feet and not look back.
Yeah, that's the way that progress has to operate. You know, you can't just wait for you to feel comfortable, but you do have to take advantage of the opportunities as they come. Right? So what do you think about inspiration? Inspiration, I feel like a lot of times is the way that artists will twist around that readiness argument.
If you wait to only create when you're inspired, you're going to starve to death. If you decided to do this as a career, that's not going to work out very well. I had shared this quote with you before, and I had posted it years ago, actually in 2018. And it was a quote I posted on my Instagram, and it says, "You will never always be motivated, so you must learn to be disciplined."
Ooh.
And I have had to learn that myself. I actually got pushback from some artists about that didn't appreciate the comment, and that's fine. But for me, if I am struggling to be motivated, or I don't feel that inspired, it kind of depends upon what specific job I'm doing at the time. Sometimes some of the faux finishes or designer wall finishes really may not require that much thought process. It's more of a mechanical thing, technique, especially if it's something I've done for a long time. I don't have to be that inspired to do a nice job and have it look beautiful, but I do need to go to work. So I can get around that by doing those things. What things could we do to get inspired? If I'm doing like flamingo paintings, I've been doing a lot of flamingo paintings over the last several years. I know I have a couple commissions to get done. Can't seem to get myself to the canvas for whatever reason, just not feeling that motivation. It might be a really good time for me to go visit a zoo and see physical flamingos. And then I get all excited and I take videos and I take pictures, and I can't wait to get back home to start painting.
Yeah.
Do you have any of that experience?
Yeah, absolutely. I find that proximity is a necessary ingredient to inspiration. You have to get yourself into a place where you're close to the thing that you want to emulate or look at or work with in order to have a higher chance of being inspired. So I think if inspiration is not coming easily to you, is to first change your location physically.
It's a great idea.
Yeah. Also, I find that changing the inputs is necessary too, if inspiration is not coming easily. So that means, are you listening to certain podcasts? Are you listening to certain TV stations? Or are you reading certain types of written material? You might want to change that up, unless it's our podcast.
Yeah.
Always listen to our podcast for inspiration. But yeah, I think that like changing the things that are coming into you, even change like, maybe even change your diet for a little while. Go out and sample some cuisine that you haven't tried before.
Yeah.
Just do something brand new.
I love doing things that are brand new that I've never done before, going places I've never gone before, listening to music, all those things. It's amazing how quickly you can change your thought process from being completely not motivated to motivated just very quickly.
What are some other ways that we can go from uninspired to inspired?
Buy new equipment.
Oh, I love that one.
For me, I have an obsession with art brushes. Yeah. So I like all different kinds of art brushes that are handmade, wooden ones that have different horse hair to badger hair to all sorts of different feathers. I love the whole structure of the way it's made. And I bought art brushes that simply are just like a work of art. Like I bought this fabulous African fan art brush that I've never used because it just looks so beautiful.
Oh, that's so cool.
And it just sits on my desk and it's a work of art in itself. So those things I think are inspiring. Getting something new paint clothes that don't have paint on them yet, that I swear I'm going to start working and I'm not going to get paint on them. Yeah. The little things like that, a new pair of shoes for work or whatever can get me excited.
I know that like all the photographers and videographers that are listening, their ears just perked up because we all know as photographers and videographers that if you get a new lens or you get a new piece of gear, you're going to go out and, it's going to inspire you to try some new things. 100%.
So we're giving you 100% license to go shopping.
Of all the episodes I want my wife to listen to, this is the one.
Yeah.
Scott needs a new lens.
And then you need a quick trip to Costa Rica, right?
That's right.
Speaking of that, so what are your favorite places to shoot photography? And what are places you've never been that you dream to go?
Oh, wow. So I really want to go visit Denmark.
Oh, okay.
And
Iceland?
Iceland. Yeah, I really want to visit Iceland. And we're actually planning a trip to Alaska.
Wow.
We're going to go to Alaska. That's super exciting. And
so you'll need your new lens for that.
Yes, Tina, I'm going to need a new lens for that. How else am I going to shoot the moose? Need a new lens. But yeah, and you're right. There's nothing that gets you more inspired than the notion of seeing something that you've never seen before, right? So I'm already on the Google trying to figure out, like what time of day is going to be best to photograph, bears and moose and things like that. And where exactly do I need to go? Will they be easily accessible from our tour that we're taking? All these questions, and the inspiration is flowing. What about for you? Is like a particular place that you want to visit?
I'm always on the lookout for new botanical gardens. I do like going to galleries. So I was just in Montana recently. Bozeman, Montana downtown has fabulous galleries, and the artwork is so different from the Florida setting here. And I find that very inspiring. I also love talking to other artists, love following other artists on social media, seeing how they create and what they use to create with. And the diversity is just incredible. I'm always amazed at how gifted and talented people are. And usually, if I'm not motivated or inspired to create on canvas, that those things help me as well, get me excited about that. And I think other artists, we enjoy feeding off of one another. Right. Learning from one another and being supportive for people all over the world. That's one thing that I appreciate about social media, is that we have access to seeing just so many different works of art and materials that before social media we'd never know about.
Right. If you're not feeling inspired, there's no excuse.
It just takes a little bit of effort.
It takes a little bit of effort. And I think that there's a strong correlation between how, as artists, we train ourselves to pull out the creativity, and how we can generate our own inspiration at times. You can't always be, because there's different gradations of inspiration, right? All you have to do is get inspired enough to pick up the brush, or just you have to get inspired enough to sit in front of the editing system. There are certainly brilliant times in your life where you're going to walk out into nature and you're going to see the perfect shaft of light coming through the tree canopy and a moose walks through it, right? Like just at the right exact moment, and it's just going to blow your mind. But it can't always be like that.
Right.
So if we can get into the habit of just calling upon our creativity when we need it, then we're going to be able to bolster up that portion of our artistic talents that's needed for the business, because the business is about leveraging your creativity even when it feels like it sucks to do it. That's what a pro is. That's the definition of a pro.
Right. And for me, I do think it does require discipline. And I know we talked before about setting kind of timers on ourselves. Like, I know that I need to spend a certain amount of time in the morning working on invoicing and contracts. It's not my most favorite thing to do, but it absolutely is essential. And so maybe I set a timer for 15 minutes and that's all I do for 15 minutes. And then I move on.
Yeah.
Because there's so many different aspects of the business that are beyond just the physical aspect of painting and drawing and creating. There's a lot of paperwork, bookkeeping, counting, and dealing with people and making phone calls. That's the other thing too, is sometimes as artists, we're not maybe the greatest of communicators, maybe introverted and don't like to talk on the phone that much, but disciplining yourself to take 10, 15 minutes in the morning or whatever part of the day.
Right.
And make sure you address the emails, the phone calls, the text messages, so that you have that schedule of work continue.
No, I think that's right. Like, having a schedule and that's just a mark of a professional. And if you're running a business, you need to have those kinds of things built in to make sure that you're on track to get your work done. It is tough though, for an artist that doesn't feel like they're inspired to get to the task at hand.
I know we talked about it before too, about just artists feeling very overwhelmed. I sometimes wonder if we feel maybe easily overwhelmed. The average person, because our brains are always going all the time. I don't know about you, but I am constantly thinking about things to create and to do. And oh, I should draw this, and oh, I should do that sample board. It never shuts off.
Right.
And I'm better now, but when I first got started about 25 years ago, I would go into a restaurant, if it was a new restaurant I hadn't been to before, and I'm looking at finishes and wallpaper and wood and flooring and fabrics, and it honestly would be exhausting mentally and emotionally, because it was creating all this in my head, because then I'm thinking, oh, I should use those colors to create this finish or that painting. Just shut that off to a certain degree so that I can get things done and try not to be overwhelmed. But so that same kind of overwhelm, if you have a very busy schedule, you have a lot of things going on in your work life, and then you also have the bookkeeping aspect of it and invoicing and writing contracts and all that. Sometimes you get so bogged down with being overwhelmed in the thought of all of those things needing to be addressed that you can't even get started with one. And then if you just pick one, focus only on it, maybe physically remove all the other things in your office or space that you're working that have to do with all those other issues of your line of work. Just maybe go outside and sit in your yard or something with only one thing to do,
Oh, I love that.
to just so that you don't have those distractions getting involved in other things.
Oh, that's really good. Let me ask you something, because one of the things that you said a little while ago was, and this really resonated with me, was when you said, Shiree, like you'd go into a restaurant sometimes and like you'd see all the different finishes on the wall and the different types of paint and colors and stuff. And it would fill you with all these ideas about what you should be doing. A couple times you used the word should. And then, so like for me, what I picked up from that is sometimes I get this feeling I should be doing more. And I feel like in my experiences, I dig into where those thoughts come from. It usually stems from fear. When I start hearing the word should in my head, it's usually because I'm afraid that I'm falling behind, or I'm afraid that other creators are doing things better than me. It usually stems from some kind of fear. So do you think, is that the same for you? And what do you try to do to overcome fear? Because I think fear is a big enemy of inspiration.
Oh, I completely agree with that. And I think one of the fears that I have, and I don't know if you feel the same way, is my time is incredibly important to me. And having time to be just alone and decompress is really important. And when I start feeling like the fear of encroachment on my time and work just taking over so much, that's a motivator killer.
Right.
And then immediately trying to find ways to maneuver how I can push back some of these deadlines so that I can have that time. There was another thought I had about that, about, one of the things that I've tried to train myself, caught myself saying it here probably more about a year ago, and I'm trying to stop saying it, is when people ask me, was work, are you busy or whatever, and I would say that I'm so behind.
Oh, yeah. Ooh.
And that immediately makes me feel, wait. Because then with that comment, you feel like you can never get caught up, that you were going to be behind until you die. This is just the way your life is. And so I've quit saying that. And the other thing I don't even saying is that I'm so busy.
Oh.
What
Yeah.
can I say differently? Because that also is, to me, along the same line
Yeah.
as I'm behind.
Yeah.
And it has a weight to it. Those words have a weight to it. Like, you have so much on your plate, it's encroaching on your time. And yeah, I guess that would be my fear, is that I don't have any space to myself to hardly even think, because I'm always working too much.
I think that's the most important thing we've talked about so far, because when you talk about saying something like, I'm so far behind, or I'm so busy, what are we really saying? Like, those two statements are essentially I am statements.
Yeah.
Right?
Your picture is in the
Or behind.
dictionary.
Yeah. Like,
behind.
I am busy. Like, that is who I am. And your subconscious has very difficult time parsing the subtle meaning of what those words mean. And so your subconscious absorbs that. It actually starts to believe at the subconscious core level, like down in your soul, that there's no other way that you could be but to be busy. And that's exactly right. That's a big pitfall. Shiree, I think that might be like the single most important thing we've ever said in the podcast.
It's like the heavens opened up and there was a big
Yeah.
rainbow in the sky has shown to tell us what the things we need to work on. And if we say those things verbally to other people too, does that encourage our own students to want to really have a career in this?
Right.
If we act exhausted and completely swamped, busy all the time.
Yeah.
So what else can we say?
If we don't want to carry that weight, what's the alternative language?
Think about that. One of the things that I do like that I say is that I love this business.
Oh, I love that.
And I do.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And I love helping other artists and seeing their excitement when they get a commission, work on canvas or whatever. Those things are cool. Yeah. I love this business. Yeah.
So how's business right now?
I have a manageable schedule.
Oh, I love it.
Baby, that was the first thing that popped into my head.
That's good though. Take
It
notice.
is manageable.
Yeah, that's better than saying I'm so busy.
Yeah. My other thing I caught myself saying here recently is that I'm booked 2 years out.
Oh, that's so good.
That also has, wow, 2 years. You don't have a life for the next 2
Yeah.
years. You're just creating. But it's, I think, a manageable, flexible schedule.
Right.
And in all honesty, I have really tried hard to space everything. We need to be mindful of the things that we tell ourselves and the things that we verbalize to other people, not creating our own anxiety that might squash us feeling inspired.
Right. That's really good stuff. Inspiration is very important as an artist, but it's not the main ingredient for running a business. It's a wonderful thing to gain energy from, and it's a beautiful thing when you get it. And I definitely recommend that we savor it when we experience the inspiration. And there's certainly things that we can do that we discussed to try to get to that point more frequently. But being a professional means you still go through the motions and you still flex your creative muscles even when you don't feel like it. It's kind of like going to the gym.
Yeah. And you always feel better when you've pushed yourself a bit afterward and you realize you did a great job and you're proud of yourself.
I love it. I think that's a good place to wrap up this topic for now. So everybody out there, just watch those I am statements. Be careful what you say because your subconscious is listening.
This is very true.
Shiree, where can people find you if they're looking to advance their art business?
Go to ShireeNicole.com, ShireeNichole. And you can also find me on Instagram.
Very cool. You can email me anytime at scott@reinventionstudiolab.com. I answer all my emails until I can't. So at the time of this recording, I can pledge that I'll answer everybody's email. If you want to see what we're up to at Reinvent Studio, you can go to reinventionstudiolab.com and visit us on Instagram at reinvent.studio. And yeah, we can help out if you need some media coaching or if you just enjoy my style of coaching. I can help with other aspects of your video production or photography business. So that's it for now, guys. This was a great episode. Shiree, thank you very much for the conversation and rock on.
It was.